Well, hello everyone. We are back with yet another episode of Intimacy Repatterning Method. And today we are here with Marina and Richard of Melbourne, Florida. Marina and Richard are a husband and wife team. They work together in their corporate environment. They share an office, which is rather unusual. And they also have a ministry called Lion Harbor. We don't currently have a website for the ministry, but but to get more information, we're going to dive into how to get more information on their ministry. But we're super, super excited to talk with Marina and Richard about just managing the whole marriage and corporate and ministry work and a family. And just like with us, they are an international couple. So we have an American husband and a Ukrainian wife. And, while it is so exciting to have that dynamic, because if Richard wanted a lady who's like himself, he would have gotten a lady. But he wanted to go all the way across the pond and get himself a Ukrainian woman.
He wanted hard mode.
He wanted hard mode.
I used to have a lot of hair.
Working on it.
Yeah.
So we want to know everything about how they make all of that work and stay married, right?
So welcome, guys.
Welcome.
Oh, and thank you. That's a wonderful greeting, and we're happy to be here. I guess where do we start from here then?
Yes. Well, we want to know about how long have you guys been married?
We've been married just a little over 20 years.
20 years. So like
20. Oh, here we go. Yeah. About 20, over 21. Okay.
Okay, yeah, there we go.
So you guys got married in 2005?
2004.
Okay.
And we're in 2006.
Yeah. Coming up on you.
21 and a half.
Wow.
Time flies when you're in the perfect marriage, doesn't it?
Yes, it does. Yes, it does. Some years didn't fly, but most of them did.
Yeah.
Perfect.
So have you all always had corporate jobs, or have you been... Has anybody been?
For the most part, we have. We've had periods where we had business entrepreneurial journeys, and as well as prior to marriage, actually, I was missionary, and Richard was in corporate. But as far as entrepreneurial journeys. We've really enjoyed them, and quite frankly, at a corporate job, you could say that we are working on launching a project, which involves a lot of those skills, sales, marketing, and working with various departments, including finance and executives. It's incredible.
Yeah,
wearing many hats, I'm sure.
For sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, one of the things that I would tell people, I mean, I've always been kind of part of the corporate world, but ministry is, I would say, it was my hobby. So it was like, the corporate world was, so I could pay for my hobby, and that's really kind of what it been. Then after we met and we got married, we started kind of blending a little bit more into a new corporate area. I'll just go ahead and share. Originally we were talking about going back to Turkey, but we didn't know how that was going to work for me because I don't speak the language, don't do any of the stuff there. And we started exploring the different ways of being there. And anyways, it came out that one of my childhood dreams was to become a pilot. So it's like, well, what about being a pilot over there? It's like, what would that take? And the sad part of the story is in high school, I wasn't exactly the greatest student, mainly because I didn't apply myself. But I was, advised that, no, you're not going to be able to be a pilot. They only take these certain cutout type people and you don't fit the mold. And so I kind of took that. It's like, okay, someday I'll get my private. I share that with Marina, and she discovers no, we just need to throw money at it and go get flight training. And so we did that. But then the journey of becoming a pilot and going that route, life changes. It's like the goals change. You start having children. You start getting into different houses and and places, and it's like, okay, well, maybe being a pilot in Turkey is not was not what it was supposed to be, but it helped us set off to this part of the journey we're in now.
Yeah.
Richard is the pilot and a flight instructor, and we always like to. Well, he taught me as well, so it's been fun.
Yeah, I've seen your posts, Marina, and every time I see them, I wonder, is she a pilot? Is it right? So it's always been very curiosity-inducing for me.
Moved in as far as in aviation, I'm not a pilot, but I work with pilots. I manage the operations.
Gotcha. Okay, and I'm curious with that dynamic. So you have a corporate job, you are a flight instructor, Richard, you manage that department, Marina, and you, as you shared with us, you share an office, and you have been on this entrepreneurial journey together too, right? And missionary journey. It's, how do we make our way to Turkey? And hey, I want to do this, but I don't fit a specific mold. And Marina says, well, we're just going to throw money at it and proceed as if success is inevitable, right? So that requires a lot of trust on each other, right? A lot of betting on each other, right?
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely.
Yeah. And it would be ideal if we all said, oh yeah, it was smooth sailing because I have a supportive wife or I have a supportive husband, but it comes with some friction. So what would you say have maybe been some of your biggest challenges that somebody who's watching or listening later on could take away from this?
Yeah, well, before the interview came on, we were discussing some of the stuff, and I mentioned that we have a tendency to jump both feet into some of it. It's really an all or nothing, type venture. And that's kind of what happened with us with aviation is we jumped into a lot of it without knowing a lot of what was going to be there for the journey. So, of course, we have a lot of learning curves that we're learning along the way. And I don't want to make it sound like we just had money just to throw at this thing. But the joke in aviation is, to be a millionaire in aviation, you first start off as a billionaire.
Yeah.
So, and there's a lot of ways that there's a lot of truth in that. But as we were coming to each new rating or each new level that you had to obtain, because there's always, you never really plateau in, with aviation. It's like, okay, you get to this level, you say, okay, that'd be great if I could just be the captain of this. Well, you need 500 more hours, and you need this rating, and you need this
license.
And you just go like, wait a minute, it's like, I thought I was there. I thought it was going to be this. And of course, we have discussions about that. We go, what did we do? But then ultimately we just see how it paved a different path than we thought we were going to be on. I'm still very much on the training side, but I'm not so active actually in the airplane anymore. It's mostly simulator work now, and there were a lot of decisions along the way of whether or not to go fly for Delta Airlines or Southwest or anything like that, and having the time away from home to where do the kids get to know their dad, or do they get to go, hey, there, that might be him up there, So,
yeah.
And we had to overcome each one of those conversations, and some of them were really tough conversations.
Yeah, absolutely. And you, as you said, you've been married for over 20 years now. So 20 years worth of tough conversations and breakthroughs through those conversations, right? It's you don't plateau in marriage either, right? Because even in marriage, you're either growing or you're dying. So when you reach a certain level, you think, oh, now we're comfortable. But the moment you feel comfortable is the moment you have to grow even more, right?
That's a good
So
summary of it for sure.
Yeah. Well, there it gets to be when it gets comfortable. It's like, okay, now I'm scared.
Yeah. That's a warning sign.
That is a warning sign. So
yeah, absolutely. And how? And you have 3 kids. How old are your kids?
The kids are 19, 17, and 13 at the moment.
Okay. Yeah, we can relate to the 13-year-old one.
Yes.
We only have a 13-year-old.
yeah. So we're in the launching stage, still in the nurturing stage, and it's all at once on top of it all. And of course, teenagers are teenagers, and we got times 3. So
That's true. Yeah. And so, and you're, as we mentioned, an international couple. So, raising kids, following your dreams, working together, and doing ministry work. How do you do that?
One day at a time.
well, there's one day at a time. There's also, I mean, I'd have to say that some of the days that are toughest, we relied back onto like our personal faith and call it being a tenacity. Just okay. I've made this decision. This is where we're going. Let's keep going. I mean, there have been times that I think most marriages fall into this like that, where you've had enough. You're just like I'm so done with this, and then it's like. But come back to it's like, yeah, but this was a decision I made, and these are the reasons why I made them, and those reasons may not even appear to be there anymore, but it's still, this was my resolve, and but then using that resolve and pushing past it, then it's like, okay, well, now you find new reasons, and you find more. I think the strengthening of the marriage by itself, just working on strengthening it, is if you're both working on it, that's enough to really. I'm putting my time into this. I put my time, my effort, and we're still here. And I don't know how to explain it more than that. It's just it's resolve. It's like we're going to make this work.
It's a choice every day for sure.
Yeah. Absolutely.
And what comes up for me too when I think of like friction or opportunities or points where it does take resolve, I often find that it's me. It's like it's something that I have to change my belief on, because my worldview is clashing with reality, and reality is going to win. And that through just like or even if I have to give up something, it's like, how much do I value this thing that I'm giving up? Do I value it more than my marriage? No, I don't. So who cares? Let's just find a way and get through this, because we are much more valuable together than we could ever be apart.
That's right. Absolutely.
Yeah. And that's beautifully said. And like you said, one day at a time, and you make those decisions as you go, and your kids are watching, right? So whatever you're tolerating or whatever you're expanding on, your kids are just mentally taking notes.
Expanding is a good word for sure.
There's a story there.
There's a lot
I've
of stories
expanded
there.
quite a bit.
Expanding, you're growing where you have that comfort zone. Just as you reach again that comfort level, you have another challenge and another challenge, and you do overcome. You make that choice to overcome and push through the challenges, and that's the beauty of it. I can definitely see growing old with Richard, and our children visiting and having their own family units, and I think I think I've seen some of from one of your episodes. You had mentioned that the families are currently under, frankly, a threat, and some young people, quite frankly, don't really want to have kids even, and the thought of that is so sad to me, to be honest. If there was one regret in our marriage, for me, that's not having more children. Quite frankly, we have 3. I wouldn't be opposed to having four. Obviously, it's a little late at this point, but we we just are very much pro family unit and growing and nurturing that family unit, raising your children and making sure that you pass on those values that you have to your children and have a really good relationship with them. I think it's very important to spend time with them. And as an example, our oldest daughter went to college. And a lot of times when children hit 18, they're kind of, flying out of the nest and building their own independent lives and whatnot. And I see a lot of the conversations on social media that, some people are doing well and some are struggling. And there is even a word on the street, oh, cut off your parents and things like that.
Oh,
And I don't even imagine how that is possible. We have such a beautiful relationship with our children. And, the reason for that is we have invested heavily into them. And it's not to boast or anything. It's just that we made that a priority. And I think that it's possible for I want to say 100% of people, but a lot of people to start today, to start where they are, and truly make that focus on the family, on each other as a husband and wife, on the children, and it's a beautiful thing to see now that they're a little older. Older teenagers per se, to see that fruit, how they are interacting with other people. And on the drive to school, actually this morning, my daughter, who is in 7th grade, said, "Those girls are so mean. Why are they so mean?" Like, I can't even be that mean. I'm like, well, because you don't have a reason to be mean. You're in the loving family. Everything's okay. You're not being, you have everything you need. You have a roof over your head and you have food and loving environment, and you blossom. Anyway.
Well, something you said before is like, where your focus is, and what's more important to you, your marriage, or your job, or there's all those type things. And like we were talking, I was talking about being the airline, and part of what kept me from the airline is, was saying is like, okay, well, when my my kids get to that particular age in teenage years where they're kind of more like, yeah, Dad, we're going to do our own thing here. Then I was like, okay, I'll throw my hat back into the ring, and start doing some of that kind of flying. But the thing is the relationship between my kids and myself, and all of us, actually, I should say, has been strong enough to where I never hit that,
Mm-hmm.
and I've seen it, and I'm not necessarily afraid of it because I talk about my ministry background and so forth, and mainly I've been working with teenagers since I was a teenager, and you're working with youth groups and, young adults and counseling and doing all that. So it was like, okay, well, here we come to that natural time of teenage years where independence overrules spending time with the family so much. And it never came. So it was like, okay, well, I'll hold off a little more. And, my daughter's off in college now and, still needs Dad, and I'm so happy to be there for her. But it's,
and mom.
Well, I can only talk about me, but,
She calls us for different subjects. She calls Dad when
the car breaks.
Yeah.
Good. More of the mechanical type stuff, and Mom for the emotional stuff, but it's still, we're still such a big portion of her life. Now she is getting bombarded at the college from, fellow classmates, the peer pressure of a lot of those kids didn't have any of that, so they're they're off on that spread out, side of it. And I'll try not to soapbox too much, but just over the years, it's become more evident that the assault on the family, just in television alone, and I'm sure you've heard all the stuff like that. Yeah, you go back to the 50s, Fathers Knows Best was the TV show, or like that, Leave It to Beaver, and you move up, and slowly over time, Dad's just become the doofus.
Yes.
And Dad doesn't know anything, and then Mom knew everything. But now Mom and Dad don't know anything, and the kids know everything. Now the kids don't know anything. It's the kids' friends know everything. And so it's like, okay, so what are we teaching, our children, as far as, where do you go to get your help? It's like anywhere but the home.
Yes.
So.
Yeah. Such an important point you make there. Yeah, absolutely. Because when we think about so many households growing up without a father, right? So many, this is what, Marina, what you are also pointing out, why we do this work. It's almost, the fathers have become optional, right? It's like, yeah, or the husband has become optional. It's like, yeah, I don't need no man, right? I have such a hard time with that, because of course we need our men. How can we not need our men, right? And if we say I don't need no man, kind of that whole world, then the daughters are learning I don't need no man, and the boys are learning, well, I don't need to become a man, because if nobody needs a man, why should I be a man? Why should I be the thing that
I'll
nobody
just
needs?
play video
right?
games and do nothing all day.
Yeah,
which a lot of men do.
exactly. And so we're perpetuating that cycle. We're just making it thicker and thicker, which is why we've decided to do this, because we need our women to be women. We need our men to be men. And we need our children to grow up in strong units. And we know that, this is my soapbox too, Richard, but we know that our children are always open to have the best possible relationship with us, regardless of how old they are, whether they're 13 or 33 or 53. Children always want to have the best possible relationship with their parents, and we want to open those doors for them, right? For us, we have certain men and women that we work with, but I know that you guys have certain couples that you want to work with, and I saw you wanted to say something, Richard, and I'd also like to go into that.
Well, I was going to say, the programming isn't, and I call it social programming because it kind of is, because it's everywhere. It's what you see and you keep repeating. It's almost becomes like a silent meditation, if you will, that you don't mean to meditate upon. But it's not just the children that are seeing this, like, oh, mom and dad don't know anything, but the mom and dads are seeing it also, and and they start making the jokes with each other, reinforcing that. And then, with some of the men that I've worked with, and so forth, it's like, they believe it's like, well, it's like, they don't need me around. I'm not worth anything anyways. It's like, well, where did you get that from? It's like, well, just look at it. It's like, they show the dumb thing dad does on TV, and I do those dumb things. It's like, well, that's not saying there's not some truth in some of the things that we do. Tim Allen made a whole thing out of Home Improvement with that, but there's still, it's like, you're still the safety zone. You're still the place to come to. You're still, have your good logical points, and don't ever forget that, everybody's looking to you. And if you turn into that side of believing it as well, they'll believe it too. So it's something that needs to be, thought about on all points. It's like, what am I projecting to my kids?
Whether you believe it to true or not. How does the phrase go? It's like, whether you believe you can or you can't, you're right.
Yeah. So it's on you. To induce that belief.
And it may be true. Like, there was a season where I was not stepping up as the man of the house for my family. I was not the husband that I needed to be. I was not the father that I needed to be. And it was true. I was, there were definitely opportunities, and confronted with that friction. It was painful, but it's like, okay, well, what am I going to do? Keep justifying my inaction, or keep comfortable in these certain ways, or get uncomfortable and step up and take more courage, take more risk, make more money, have more responsibility, spend more time with my daughter, and actually become the opposite of that. And through that confrontation with that reality, I have stepped up and I'm much more present and valuable in the house than I was prior to that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Well, and we've had our seasons where it's like, it seems like everything that we've done, it just is not working, and but then the resolve kind of comes as like, okay, well, what are our choices? We can't quit. So it's like, okay, well, we can't quit, so let's just keep pushing forward. Well, we're failing again. It's like, well, what are our choices? We can't quit. Keep going, and sometimes that becomes more the mantra, if you will, is, well, we can't quit. Then I won't quit. It's like, because like you don't have a choice. My kids are growing up. They need a dad there. It's like, okay, well, I can't quit just being a dad just because I don't feel like it that day. I just can't. Now, I may not be the best dad that day, but the thing is, I can't quit being that, and I always have to keep that in the back of my mind. If I'm on my worst day ever, that everything's going wrong, and shoelace breaks, the neighbor's dog bit my ankle or whatever, you go through all that. It's like, it's like, comes back to the kids. That's not their fault. But I got to be there for them,
Yeah.
I have to be there for my wife. And sometimes, as in all marriages, we don't, I shouldn't say all marriages, but I would perceive most marriages, we don't see eye to eye on everything all the time. And some of that's
especially in cross-cultural marriages.
Some of it's cultural, some of it's just, how a man looks at things and how a woman looks at things.
Yes.
I forgot which one it was. Stephen Covey had the pink glasses and blue glasses. It's like, how we both perceive life. Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm curious, just as a fun aside, what's a funny cultural clash story that you have? And I'll share, just so you can get an example of what we're talking about. I'll share one. When we were first hanging out as friends, before we were even dating, we were 20, 21, something like that, and Alma drove us to this restaurant Outback, and
keep in mind, these are 20-year-olds. So
yeah.
We think 20-year-olds think they know everything, right?
Right. So
kids.
I came from this culture of like, especially back then as kids, you toss your friend gas money to like be like, hey, thanks for driving me. And so I gave her like, I don't know, a couple dollars or $5 or something, and she looked at it like, fuck. She threw it in the back seat like, how dare you disrespect me with this tiny bit of money for driving you? Of course I'm gonna drive you somewhere. And then I understood, like, it doesn't matter, like, if this is the last dollar in my pocket, like if I have enough for us to all have a drink or have something, like it's gonna happen. There's this total, like, individual versus collective cultural shift between former Yugoslavia specifically in America. And that was just a real like smack in the face for me. And that was funny. It was a funny way to learn this cultural differences. So I'm curious if you have anything similar.
And then he fell in love.
Oh yeah. It was great.
Catch up.
Yeah.
We got married in I think it's like 16th or 18th century castle in Ukraine. That territory actually used to be under Hungarian Austrian Empire or something like that, back a long time ago. Anyhow, so he comes to see me. Actually, he flew in
for the wedding.
To get married.
For your own wedding.
Flew in for the wedding.
We didn't have.
Just to give a quick over, we met here in the States. We dated here in the States for a little bit, and then I knew that she was the girl I was going to marry, so I flew out to Ukraine to fly her. So sometimes I have to put that out because I flew out for the wedding. People started asking the question, mail order bride? I said, no, nothing like that. We met here. I went over there.
Yes, I was in the U.S. in 2004 for a training to get a business certificate. And to do the fundraising for the ministry in Turkey. And I have visited multiple churches. I spoke to audiences anywhere from 20 to 2,000 people back when I was 25. And I was more brave then than I guess I am now. Anyway, I'll get there again. But so he flies into to Ukraine, and we don't have a place for a wedding just yet. He's like, I don't want to have just to pick a restaurant because that restaurant might turn into a casino 5 years down the road or whatever.
Well, most of the places that we were looking at where they were having wedding venues, that they clear out the room, put the chairs and tables in, especially, and it was what I would equate to being here, kind of like strip mall type places. It's just like, oh, we can't do that. It's got to be more iconic.
Yeah.
And so the first night I take him to see the castle, and he is like, why don't we just get married here? I'm like, what? Like, they don't do weddings here. It's a castle. It's an old, well, it's an old castle. There isn't even a banquet room or anything in there.
Well, there is. It's just it's been it's been closed up for 100 years.
It was actually a knight's room, like knights and
one of their meeting room.
It's an older room with arches and just a very ancient piece of a building. Anyway, so he said, I'm like, okay, well, let's ask. We went and asked, and they're like, what? I guess, sure. How much do you pay?
Well, there's a lot of funny story about it, because we knew that if we went and talked to them and they knew an American was involved, the price was going to go way up there. So, but the thing is so it's still traditional that the men talk the business, but but I don't speak the language. So she's, talking to the person about it, and I'm there, I've got my leather cap on. I'm trying to look as Ukrainian as I possibly can, the leather
black
coat,
leather jacket,
kind of not smiling at anything, looking like I hate to say this in this way because I have plenty of Ukrainian men friends, but just flat out looking like I just don't care about anything. Just like, whatever. But every time
Did you have a cigarette?
No, I didn't have the cigarette. I don't smoke.
Might
as well. It had the little bottle of vodka in the pocket.
Yeah.
No, I didn't have that. I'm kidding. But anyways, so she's talking to him, and I'm there like it's obvious I'm listening, but I have no idea what's being said.
Sure.
But then, fortunately, every time he would ask a yes or no question, that's how he'd ask. He didn't ask for detailed questions. It's like, what do you want this or do you want that? I have no idea what he's saying, but she just give me the cue of yes or no type thing, just very subtly. And I just look at him and I look at her and then I look at him and just.
You didn't have to say anything, just nod.
And I could nod. And we faked it. We faked it all the way through he didn't find out I was an American until like 2 days before the wedding.
Wow. Cool.
Yeah, and when he found out, he was like, well, you guys have to pay the entrance fee for every guest. We're like, that wasn't part of the deal.
And we had like 200 people coming.
Wow.
Yeah.
So did you end up paying?
No.
Okay.
He was saying that as she's explaining to me, I saw for the guests, I could, she's explaining to me, and before she's finishing explaining, I just turned around 180 and start walking away. And she's like, where are you going? It's like, we're finding someplace else. And all of a sudden he's realizing he's losing his fee that he was getting altogether, because I just like, I'm not going to stand for this at all. Just boom. And it was like one of those biggest gambles in my brain. Like I was like, oh, this better work. And it did. He's like, no, we had an agreement. You're right. And so we got the castle.
Yeah, we had a wonderful wedding in the castle. It truly was like a Cinderella story, I guess.
Well, it started a new trend, because after we did that, then they turned it into a business, realizing, wait a minute, this is a cool thing to do. So really, I think we deserve the discount just for giving them a business idea. So
yeah.
Yeah, but
Yeah.
they were literally finishing painting the room like a couple of days prior to the wedding. And it was, my goodness, but it turned out to be a very beautiful venue. And they've actually also built a chapel on one of the corners in the castle. You can oversee the entire city, the mountains, the river, and get married there. And I think we're gonna go there for our we keep saying every year, but maybe for 25th year to do a
things
vow
come,
renewal.
yeah,
Hopefully.
if things calm down over there.
True. Yeah. Might not.
Yeah.
It's a little hot right now.
Yeah.
It is. It's literally 45 minutes from Hungary. It's not that far.
Yeah.
But
Well-
anyway, the castle had fireworks. We had a video from the inside, from the outside, and people, who is getting married in there? It's probably the mafia guys. It's like, no, just us.
Well, on some of the cultural differences, I mean, we've experienced some things. The restaurants are always the interesting thing too, because going from a non-tipping culture to a tipping culture,
And then you order a sandwich. They bring you like an open faced little sandwich.
yeah,
He's ordered a burger. He's thinking, oh, I'm gonna have a burger, and then they bring this little tiny open face, cute sandwich. It's like, well, what did you want for that money?
well,
Anyway, but this was all 20
yeah, that was
22
22
It
years
doesn't
ago.
matter, but
Yeah,
I guess one of the other cross-cultural things is like you would just put like a suitcase on the bed and like, why?
it's on the foot of the bed.
Anyway,
Yeah.
but odd. A lot of things, but as years go by, I'm a U.S. citizen, and I'm kind of, this is my culture now.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And you create your own culture, right?
Yeah.
That's what happens, especially when as your family expands, you have your own family culture. Because you take a little bit from Ukraine, you take a little bit from America, and you make your own. In being cross-cultural again and doing the work that you do, I'm curious now. I know you're in the process, or you're going to be in the process of building up all the meats and potatoes and the ministry and everything. But I know that this is very important to you guys. So if somebody, I want to know real quick, if somebody needed your help, who do you help, and how can they reach out to you?
We help, I would say, family units to restore relationships between the husband and wife and the children, and to bring that balance between between work, between business, between relationships. So I'd say to start there. That would be more of my vision. Richard also likes to help specifically leaders who maybe feel burned out or alone, or even in the marriage, or need some sort of encouragement. Richard is an encourager.
That's his strength, one of his top strengths.
That's his top strength, I would say. I would say
I would also throw in there the experience that I've had working with youth. It's like teenagers are kind of a specialty for me. Always a special. Little kids. I mean, I love them. Don't get me wrong, but I'm not like child psychologist type thing, but when they start getting into those questioning years, that's been a real strength of mine. I've had a lot of success there, working with teens.
If people want to reach out to us, just simply DM me on Facebook at Marina VE. V is in Victor, E is in Echo. Marina is like a boat marina, Marina. Just see how we can go from there.
Cool.
Okay, beautiful.
What about aviation? No? Okay. No, hold on a second here. Okay.
The next episode of Marina and Richard. Yes. All right. Well, it has been such an honor and pleasure talking to both of you and getting to know you,
Yeah.
because Marina and I think we met. I swear, I believe that we met at the Andy Grammer concert section. And 2 years ago, 3 years ago. So we've been kind of chatting on Facebook, or we'll see each other stuff. But now we got to really get to know each other, and I can't wait to get to know you guys even more. All right, everybody. And if you wish to reach out to them, you know where to find them.
All right, sounds good. See you next episode.